Hi Daniel, thank you so much for agreeing for to give this interview. And how are you today?
I'm really good. Thanks, Federica. Nice to hear you.
Thank you. And I think that would be nice for our readers slash listeners if you could start by introducing yourself and explain a little bit on what you're working on.
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Daniel Stieger, and I'm a co-partner at Modellwerkstatt.org. It's an Austrian-based company right in between the Alps, and
Nice.
we are I would call it in the domain of business applications. So our goal is to develop business applications faster and with higher quality,
Mhm.
and do that also in a device independent way. That is, we support mobile progressive apps, we support desktop applications, and we support web platforms,
Okay.
and that's basically the what Modellwerkstatt works on. Yeah.
Okay. Nice. And one of the reason why we met is also because you are interested in and well, you are using JetBrains MPS. So can you tell us about your experience with MPS?
Yeah, we are using the JetBrains meta programming systems as our main development tool for all our solutions. All our developers and we are solely relying on that platform,
Oh,
and we do not depend on any other additional tools.
okay.
So we have all our requirements and all our necessities are basically developed and embedded within MPS.
Okay, so every part of the process is supported by MPS, which is
True. Yeah.
yeah, nice. And have you used other similar tools, other language workbenches in the past, or you have always used MPS?
Yeah. In 2009, we started with Xtext on Eclipse environment, and of course, Eclipse was not developed, it was not evolved like it is nowadays
Yeah.
with the Xpand and the environment there. But well, we quickly run into limitations
Hmm.
of Xtext in those days, like no type system support, and uh,
Yeah.
and also kind of difficulties when developing code generators, and that quickly led the path to JetBrains MPS. So we switched after a couple of months. We switched completely to MPS, and even in that stage, MPS fulfilled all our demands we came up with.
Okay, because uh, if I remember correctly, in 2009 MPS was not as usable as it's now. I mean, now it's much better. So maybe 2009 was a bit challenging. From I mean, okay, but it's interesting that many people seems to have started using Xtext and then they saw the light and arrived to MPS. So that's good. And can you tell us a bit more about the domain-specific languages that you are building with MPS?
We have we are basically relying on three languages
Mhm.
for different purposes. That is user interface modeling, modeling of business logic and controllers, and modeling of database interfaces, of object relational mapping. So quite different purposes. But thing is, all those DSLs are integrated in with each other. So that's also pretty unique
Yeah.
for the for the affordances you have with with JetBrains NPS. And all our DSLs are basically built around Java. So that is really nice. We follow the Java syntax. We follow the Java philosophy of building things, of formulating things. And that is just like syntax, type system, and other technical aspects. But that's really nice because we have a guideline how to formulate and how to develop DSLs that is in accordance with Java. But I think it's also nice for the users because if you have a bit of familiarity with Java, you could easily learn our DSL. So it's not completely a standalone proprietary, strangely formulated language. It's a bit in a Java style, made in a Java style.
Okay, so let's say for the point of view of the users, your DSL seems a little bit like extensions to Java.
Extensions to Java, or it gives oftentimes we give a context, because in Java everything is just a class concept.
Right.
So we try to give our users different contexts where they can put in Java code.
Okay, and then the other thing is that you have different DSLs that are well integrated, so you have these families of DSLs that can cover the whole application, right?
True, yeah.
How did you come up with these DSLs? Was it difficult to design them, or do you have a process to create a DSL?
Initially, we picked the use case. That was a specific business application for one of our customers, and we thought how we would formulate all those things in Java, and then we abstracted it away. We said, okay, what could be changed, or what will be changed probably if we would develop another application. And so in an iterative process, of course, we refined our DSLs, we refactored our DSLs. So we developed the initial product, business application, and at the same time we evolved our DSL and evolved the application again, evolved the DSL. So in an iterative process, our 3 DSLs were built.
Okay, yeah, I think it's. I was thinking when you say that you wrote the application, you started to think about where the variability could be in another project. That this, I think, it's a skill that requires a lot of experience to understand when things could vary, and so maybe it's one of the difference between people with good experience and maybe younger developers. And
Absolutely.
yeah, and so in a way you develop the language bottom up, in the sense that you start with a real application, let's say in Java, and then you saw the abstractions in the code, and you built this abstraction, improving the application, so moving from Java to something a bit higher level. Is that right?
Yes, that's how we structured the process of developing DSL. So in context, but of course we also get some theoretical input by literature, from domain-driven design, from enterprise patterns, from Fowler's domain-specific language. So there are a lot of books we also used to get an idea of how to abstract things.
Good. So maybe later in the article we will put links to these books so that someone can take a look at those and read them. And okay, so I would like to ask a few more questions about MPS. You already said that you started looking at it in 2009, so it was some time ago. And was it difficult to get started? I don't know, how did you find the resources to learn MPS, or how do you find out about MPS?
I think in those days it was a bit difficult because there were no books available on MPS, and there were also not no screencasts available, which I really like, which are really cool now that JetBrains put some effort into all the explanations and those very nice screencasts, but I had the reference manual of MPS and a small or a tiny tutorial from some guy from Munich. Can't remember his name. So it was a bit hard to get into MPS, but JetBrains helped out a lot. So I had a contact where I could ask questions. I also used the community forum a lot. And Václav Pech gave me a lot of support, personal support from him. So it was really amazing. And there were conferences in United Kingdom. They were called Code Generation.
Yeah, I think.
And this was there was also some great input on how to formulate things, but also on MPS specific problems I could get solved there. So it was also a nice resource of learning.
Nice. Yeah, I never attended Code Generation, but everyone speak very fondly of that conference. So I regret that I didn't ever went there. But yeah, and. But about MPS, do you think that some companies are a bit resistant to MPS, or do you have an opinion on that? Do you think it's difficult to convince a company to consider MPS?
I think it is not easy because everyone is used to text editors and everyone is
Yeah.
used to basically get versioning and version control systems which are text based like Git or SVN. And interestingly, not being text based is a strength of MPS. So understanding that it does not make any sense to formulate things in text, parse and compile this text, basically transforming this text forth and backwards. Why not? And in the text are the models, are also models formulated. So basically, the strength of MPS is not being text based, but being a projection editor. And of course, everything, all new things are people. It's always hard to how's it called? There is a saying. It was always hard to. Everything that is new is
it's a bit scary, or
is scary. Yeah.
yeah, but it's true that one of the main complaints that I hear over and over is versioning. And I think now in MPS there are these tools to do the merging, to do the comparison between two versions. But it's true that if you're used to do a merge from the command line, it's it can be.
And JetBrains did a stunning job on version integration in MPS. It works like a charm. So
Yeah, it's just a matter to understand that you have to use that integration and not doing from the command line. Otherwise, you're comparing two XML files, and yeah, you don't understand. Yeah, but
it's also a bit strange because once you get used to the projection editor, you definitely will not switch back because you can feel that there is some intelligence in the editing component. So every text editor, even with a co-completion, feels just like dumb, like just a stupid tool, basically. So
Yeah.
it's absolutely convincing once you got the idea of having an intelligent editor.
Yeah, I think as we were saying before, many language designers start with Xtext, then maybe they hear about MPS, they're not so convinced because it's not testable, then they try it. If they use it for a while, they will never consider going back to Xtext. Just seems crazy to limit yourself. So sorry for everyone loving Xtext, but yeah. Bit my feeling. And so you have this company. I will try to pronounce it. It's Model Werkstatt. It's the
That's
name. Yeah.
Yeah, you
Okay.
pronounced it correctly.
Yeah. It's always and it's now 10 years old, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
And how things change over time. Yeah, can you tell a little bit about the history of the company?
yes, of course. We started with the idea of modeling, bringing modeling to business applications by using DSLs and using modern and innovative frameworks. And as already stated, we started with Xtext and then got to MPS. And things evolved over time. We started by those DSLs and then we applied them to one on one with one customer, and now we generalized those DSLs over time. We built a rapid application development framework, call it Moveware,
Okay.
and we really pushed that framework to let it become a product in with based on three DSLs in itself, and so nowadays Modellwerkstatt just offers basically um, three services. That is, we implement applications, so we are using our own tools to implement products for customers. We also give support to Moveware, and that is teaching and consulting, of course. We are also the sole maintainer of Moveware, although it's open source. And third service you do is DSL and JetBrains NPS consulting, if
Nice.
need is.
Okay. And if I understand correctly, so your client sees these DSLs as like secret weapons to develop application faster, right?
Yeah, that's true. It's a tool. It's a rapid application development tool, which lets you model business applications to develop faster and with higher quality, but also device independent. That is, you use the same code to execute it in a mobile progressive environment, progressive apps. You use the same code, the same model to let it run on a desktop computer, and you use the same DSLs, the same models and solutions to develop a web platform product.
Yeah, that's also a good point. I mean, portability, if you want to develop an application that you plan to be used in 10 years, probably we don't know which platforms we will have in 10 years. So if you can be independent from the device, I think it's the only way to protect your investment.
True, and that's why we came up with the idea of we call it technical, and we call it fachlich. I
Okay.
don't know how to translate
Yeah,
fachlich
but
to.
I think Markus Wolter is promoting this word Fachlichkeit to as a sort of synonym for business logic?
Yeah, or just like a domain
Okay.
aspects, and we differentiate between technical Java, that is framework related, that is
Hmm.
database connection related, the specific user interface technology, like Java FX or Vaadin or other products, and we distinguish from that technical Java, that fachliche Java, that very formulate the business logic, very formulate your domain aspects, and this leads finally to technology independence, because you can, of course, execute that fachliche Java code with business logic in any environment. So you won't find any technical Java code in our JetBrains NPS environment, because that is exactly what we abstracted away, and that delivers technology independence to our customers.
Okay, good. So, in normal development, we have a mix of business logic and technical aspects mixed, and you cannot distinguish them. With your solution, you can separate them so that if the need arises, you can preserve the fachlich aspect of the application and just change the small part that has to do with the platform specific aspects. Is it that right?
Yes, that's a nice formulation, and also I would say that typically, even um, if you have the goal of separating those things, typically at some point you you are, due to legacy or just because your developers are not disciplined.
Oh, right.
So basically, some technical code is flowing into your business logic, and just using those DSLs and using JetBrains NPS really separates things nicely. So there is really a strong distinction on, also technologically, a technological one. So you cannot access the technical stuff, uh, the infrastructure related stuff. So that really pushes developers to just formulate things correctly and nicely.
Okay, good. Um, so I think we have described at a high level what activities you your company does. Do you think is there any specific project that you can tell us about, maybe at a high level? I know that some stuff is confidential, but just to give an idea as to the listeners of what can be achieved.
Yeah, we are developing, or the biggest project right now is
Mhm.
developing a stock keeping application
Okay.
for a major client of ours. And this stock keeping application uses Oracle and a standard Oracle database in the background. And all the code which is used, all the business logic and user interfaces and database access things, are modeled within our domain specific languages,
Mhm.
and that leads to the advantage that the stock keeping application can be used from a back office, desktop application with a lot of data displayed, and a lot of tables and forms, and also as a full mobile solution for point of sale mobile devices with scanners.
Okay.
So technology is completely abstracted away, and developers of stock keeping application can really focus on the domain, and on how the stock should keep, and what the rules are, and that's really nice and speeds up development a lot.
Yeah, yeah, it would be Nice to have a comparison of the effort that you spend building the logic once, instead of maybe, the alternative of building the application on the mobile phone, then to run on the server and integrate them. So yeah, maybe could be an idea for a white paper to show to people the advantages of DSLs. Okay, but I think one thing that is also interesting that you were discussing the fact that you have an open source library, Moware, right?
Yes, true.
And so, why you decided to make this library open source?
There are a lot of products like rapid application development tools around nowadays, like Microsoft Power Apps or Mendix or OutSystems, and even in Pathways, the ball and builder tools are very well known. So, but they are all proprietary. So
Okay.
once you invest in and use those platforms, you cannot get out of them. And that is one major pain point by relying solely on those products. And I think one key aspect of Mover is using a rapid application development tool, which is built on a platform.
Mhm.
You could change, extend, uh, if absolute need is. So JetBrains NPS is free, and Mover is free, and that even lets you get the models out of this information of this environment if you want to. So you have a lot of freedom, but you could also use the advantages of rapid application development and generating code. So basically, being open, being extendable, being changeable, and and being independent and not proprietary, that is a key feature of Moveware.
Okay. Good. So we explain now the goal of Mower, and now I'm curious about how it is used. I mean, is mostly you and your company use it for clients in project, or sometimes do you teach to other developers how to use it and then they use it on their own?
Yeah, it's exactly how you formulate things. We typically we start together with
Okay.
on-premise developers, with developers from the client to and kick off a project together, implement things. But of course, over time, when the project involves the the developers at the client side, they take over the complete project and the complete solution. So then we are more in a role of consulting and moderating, discussing things a bit, and options, similar to pair programming. But we also implement complete solutions at the client side.
Okay. But if the client want to take control of development, you have the possibility to train them. Normally, developer that have not previous experience with language engineering can learn how to use Mower and be independent from you if they want to, right?
I think it's one of the goals that clients finally are capable of developing their own solutions, and by using Moveware just as a tool, and use the DSLs to speed up their development, get a better standardization of products, and a higher quality of solutions.
Okay, good, good. Because yeah, this is also an aspect to consider, especially if the company involves some time and money in building this application. The fact that at some point they have uh, they have control on it. So I think it's good. Okay, so we talk about malware and your experience with open source. I would like to have a few final question to hear your opinion about language engineering and model driven. And but do you think that DSLs in particular are a European thing and maybe something that is in particular strong in German-speaking countries, or do you think it's used on the same level all over the world?
Um, I think model-driven development and DSLs are more advanced in Europe because two major projects, that is Xtext and JetBrains NPS, come from our continent here,
Yeah.
and so there is a big community um, around in Europe, and Germany. I mean, it's Markus Völter, which who is contributing a lot to the DSL community, and therefore I would assume that the community is also growing faster in nearby countries.
Yeah.
So I would say Europe is a bit ahead, yes, when it comes to the domain-specific languages.
Yeah, I have also have this feeling.
And
I didn't have realized why, but now your point is interesting that maybe it's because Xtest and NPS had an effect on the community. Good. And have you recently found something new or found something that you found particularly interesting in language engineering?
well, I'm lately I was really interested in machine learning and artificial intelligence, which are some buzzwords, and
Yeah.
I think you can apply those technology to a lot of problems, especially in environments where a lot of data is available. But personally, for me, domain-specific language is a bit of the contrary direction, where you don't have any data around, but you want to solve things, you want to solve complex matters, and then, of course, there is a need to express yourself in a way that you can think and work on hard problems. So, domain specific languages, as well as machine learning, uh, are for me two, two paths to tackle problems in now and in future.
Okay, good. Yeah, let's see if we can find a way to combine them. And okay, and is there something that you are working on, particular that you are or planning to work on in the future, like I don't know, a new release of malware or something new?
Of course, yes, we're constantly working on more, and myself, I'm putting a lot of time into making more easier and easier to use, and very specific. Now I'm working on better mobile integration. So the mobile devices, and they get more and more important, and and we are really, and I'm really trying to abstract the way the technology is used in those mobile environments, because they are changing very frequently. There is a lot of technology changes, like using iOS, using Android, or using some operating environment you even don't know yet, and also the speed, the life cycles of, let's take Android, from version to version is really fast. It's not like in past days on Unix, where you can change your environment every 10 years, and now it's half a year life cycles of operating systems and mobile stuff. So we're really putting a lot of effort in there to stabilize development environments and to formulate things in logical ways to mitigate any dependency on underlying technology.
Okay. Yeah, so maybe in a way, by using DSLs, you can protect a little bit the application from this continuous change in the underlying technologies. Like they keep releasing new version of Android or iOS, but in your code generators or interpreters, you can deal with this new version without having to change the application, well, the the code written by the user. Is that true?
Absolutely, and it's just causing trouble, and it's causing a lot of efforts to keep pace with all the developments from the client side, from our client side, and they should not have to put any efforts in there because it doesn't speed up or help solving their problems. So they should be able to focus all their efforts into solving business problems, domain problems they have, and not keeping track with technology.
Okay, good. Okay, now my final question is there anything else that you want to add? Maybe something that I should have asked you, or something that didn't come up in the interview and you want to tell us?
No, I think we covered a lot of things,
Okay,
and it's really I think the question: are clients resistant to MPS that you asked? That made me think a bit, and I think it's just important for in the future to don't have any fears and to have a look into projection editing and the options you have there, and and uh, and clearly have the advantages in mind when comparing such a technology with traditional environments like text editors.
yeah,
So be open and push forward a bit.
yeah. Good, good. So I would like to thank you, and think for me it was particularly interesting also because I think well, we are both working with MPS, and I've seen some presentation of you, so I would like to thank you for what you're doing in the MPS community, and also for your open source work that help moving forward the MPS community. And I would like to thank you for spending this time with us and answering all these questions.
Yeah, thank you also, Federico. And if there are questions on Mover or on technology like NPS, I'm glad to help out
Good, good. Thank you. Good to
to
know.
your readers.
Okay. So thank you, and see you soon. Bye.
Okay, thank you. Bye.